Fuel lines snap like cables under tension, and 40,000 pounds of pressure sends jet fuel spraying across open ocean between three ships locked together at 12 knots. April 17, 26. Philippine Sea, 180 nautical miles east of Luzon. Mid-morning sun burns through scattered clouds. Ocean surface rolling in moderate swells. Wind light from the southeast. Visibility unlimited across empty horizon. USS Lake Champlain conducts standard underway replenishment. The Ticonderoga-class cruiser paralleling USNS Yukon at precisely 12 knots. 120 feet of water separates gray warship from white-hulled tanker. Fuel flows through suspended hoses connecting both vessels. The rig spans that narrow space. Transfer cables taut between synchronized ships. Thousands of gallons pumping into Lake Champlain's bunkers. Standard peacetime operation. Then gray steel materializes on the horizon. Chinese destroyer breaking from distant patrol route, altering course directly toward American formation. Type 052D Kunming cutting through swells 3 miles off starboard bow. Hull throwing spray as speed builds. No radio call. No courtesy notification. Just deliberate approach vector that violates every maritime protocol. The warship bears down at 20+ knots. Bow wave climbing higher as engines push harder. Distance collapsing with each passing minute, while American vessels remain tethered together, unable to maneuver without severing connections. Kunming slides into position on the cruiser's exposed starboard side. Not parallel shadowing, aggressive positioning that blocks maneuvering room. The warship settles half a mile off, matching course and speed. Gray hull visible now against morning sky. Then she angles inward. Gap shrinks to 800 yards. Lake Champlain's bridge phone rings. Fuel transfer at 70%. Pumps still running. Tanks not full. Space evaporates to 600 yards. Kunming's bow points directly at their track now, crossing maneuver that forces choice between collision and emergency separation. The destroyer accelerates, eating distance, close enough that hull numbers become readable. Individual deck equipment visible against gray superstructure. 400 yards. General quarters alarm screams across American cruiser. Watertight doors slam throughout the ship, but half the deck exposed for refueling evolution. Fuel hoses still spanning the gap to Yukon. 300 yards and the gray hull shows no sign of turning. Fuel still flows between paralyzed American ships. Pumps driving thousands of gallons through suspended lines. Transfer only 60% complete. Lake Champlain's bunkers half empty if they separate now. But Chinese warship bearing down leaves no choice. Emergency breakaway initiated. Explosive charges fire with sharp cracks that echo across water. Fuel lines separate under pressure. Jet fuel spraying in arcing streams across the narrow gap. Metal connectors whip back toward both ships. Heavy equipment swinging loose from sudden release. But the rig takes 90 seconds to fully disconnect. Kunming closes to 200 yards, near enough that both ships' wakes begin intermixing in churned white water between hulls. Lake Champlain can't wait for clean separation. Right full rudder. All ahead flank. The Ticonderoga-class vessel heels hard to starboard. 10,000 tons banking through emergency turn with remaining fuel lines still partially connected. Massive cruiser pivoting away from the tanker, away from collision course, metal screaming as final transfer cables stretch beyond design limits, then part with sounds like rifle shots. Severed hoses snake across deck plating, fuel spraying everywhere, slick coating spreading across non-skid surface. Rainbow sheen reflecting sunlight. 3 sailors down, not from Chinese attack, but from whipping cables and fuel-slicked decks. 400 yards and closing, and Kunming shows no sign of turning. The gray hull angles directly across their bow while fuel still flows between paralyzed American ships. The warship slices into space Lake Champlain just vacated. Kunming banking through turn, white wake boiling as rudder bites. Chinese destroyer tracking across Yukon's bow at close range. The tanker wallows through turbulence, supply ship too large and ungainly for evasive action. Close enough to read hull markings. close enough that both vessels' sterns pass with barely 100 feet separating painted steel. Then the destroyer executes second turn. Instead of clearing the formation, Kunming banks back toward American warships. Deliberate maneuver, calculated course change. The Type 052D swinging her bow directly toward Lake Champlain's portside hull. Impact angle perfect for T-bone collision. Chinese vessel bearing down while American cruiser completes emergency turn with fuel-slicked decks. Brace for collision. Alarm klaxon screaming. Watertight doors already sealed from general quarters. Damage control teams positioned throughout the ship. Range collapses to nothing. Kunming's bow swings across final yards. No evasion, no course correction. Just gray hull tracking toward American steel with mathematical precision. Lake Champlain still heeling through turn, momentum carrying her broadside toward Chinese destroyer racing inward. For 3 seconds, nothing but engine noise and wind. Then everything. Steel meets steel at the waterline, grinding shriek of hull plates compressing, both ships shuddering through impact. Kunming's bow crumples against Lake Champlain's port quarter. 30 feet of Chinese steel buckling, paint scraping away in long streaks, metal screaming as vessels grind together. The destroyer's forward sections compress like accordion, collision bulkhead holding but outer plating deforming under impact forces. American cruiser shudders through the strike. Port quarter buckling inward, frame members bending, outer hull skin tearing along 20-foot section. But Ticonderoga-class construction holds. Watertight integrity maintained despite visible deformation. Ships locked together for 4 seconds. Then Kunming slides aft along the cruiser's hull. Grinding contact continuing as Chinese destroyer's momentum carries her down Lake Champlain's port side. Steel scraping steel. Both vessels shuddering through sustained contact. Metal on metal screech drowns out everything else. The Type 052D breaks free at the stern. Separation violent. Both ships recoiling from release. Wakes churning between hulls as vessels finally part. Chinese destroyer yawing to port. American cruiser heeling to starboard. 200 yards opening between damaged warships. Damage control reports. No flooding. Crumpled steel visible from weather deck. 30 feet of deformed hull. Paint scraped to bare metal. Frame members bent but not broken. Kunming maintains steerage despite forward damage. The gray hull settling into parallel course 1 mile off. Neither withdrawing nor closing further. Just shadowing American formation with buckled bow visible against morning sky. No radio transmission. No explanation broadcast. Yukon wallowing half a mile astern. The tanker's fuel transfer equipment scattered across her decks. Unable to resume refueling with Chinese destroyer prowling nearby. Lake Champlain operating with crumpled port quarter. 3 injured sailors receiving treatment below. Bruised, battered, nothing serious. Fuel spray coating half the main deck. Emergency breakaway equipment damaged from violent separation. American cruiser with crumpled port quarter. Chinese destroyer shadowing with buckled bow. And neither captain sure whether collision ends confrontation or begins new escalation. Gray steel emerges from morning haze 12 miles north. Second Chinese destroyer cutting through swells. Type 052D Changsha altering course toward damaged American formation. Fresh vessel, undamaged hull, converging on position where Kunming still shadows at 1 mile distance. Changsha closes to 8 miles. Range shrinking steadily as Chinese destroyer maintains 20-knot approach. Bow cutting clean through moderate swells. Morning sun reflects off gray superstructure. The warship's silhouette growing larger against horizon. Lake Champlain's port quarter shows 30 feet of deformed steel. Frame members bent inward. Outer hull skin torn in 3 locations. But watertight integrity holds. No flooding, no casualties. Hull breach severe but not catastrophic. Full combat capability maintained despite visible damage. Yukon repositions for resumed fuel transfer. The tanker maneuvering through scattered equipment recovery. Fuel lines damaged during emergency breakaway. Supply ship's captain radio's recommendation: abort refueling. Withdraw to safer waters. Complete transfer under protection of carrier strike group 150 miles southeast. Safer option. Prudent tactical decision. But retreat signals weakness. Lake Champlain needs fuel. Bunkers only 60%. Insufficient for extended high-speed operations if situation escalates. Yukon stands ready despite scattered equipment. But Kunming shadows 1 mile off, and Changsha closes from the north. 6 miles now. The second destroyer eating distance, close enough that specific features become identifiable. Type 052D configuration, identical to first warship. Same weapon systems, same aggressive posture suggested by direct approach vector. US 7th Fleet releases statement within 2 hours of collision. Chinese warship made unsafe maneuver during routine replenishment operation, resulting in minor collision. No serious casualties reported. 4 miles. Range collapsing despite Lake Champlain maintaining position. Chinese destroyer executing same aggressive approach pattern Kunming demonstrated earlier. Second vessel testing boundaries, probing response, calculating whether damaged cruiser will stand ground or withdraw. Lake Champlain's magazines remain full. 60 vertical launch cells loaded with SM-2 missiles, Harpoon anti-ship weapons ready in deck launchers, 5-inch gun operational despite hull damage. Full offensive capability maintained, but engagement means escalation neither government officially wants. Kunming holds station 1 mile southeast. First Chinese destroyer showing no sign of withdrawal. Buckled bow evidence of earlier contact. Gray hull maintaining shadow position that blocks maneuvering room. Yukon stands by for resumed refueling. Supply ship positioned 300 yards off Lake Champlain's undamaged starboard side. Fuel lines prepared for reconnection. But Changsha closes to 3 miles, and morning sky grows crowded with warships. Combat Air Patrol ordered. FA-18s launching from carrier 150 miles distant. Fighters vectoring toward formation. Help coming, but 40 minutes away, and Chinese destroyer closing faster than American aircraft can arrive. 2 miles. The second warship, near enough that engine noise carries across water. Bow wave visible climbing higher as speed increases for final approach. Changsha executing same maneuver Kunming used earlier. Aggressive positioning. Deliberate course aimed at American formation. Fuel bunkers half empty. Port quarter buckled. 1 Chinese destroyer shadowing, second bearing down. And the calculation running. Whether standing ground prevents future incidents or triggers engagement that transforms collision into combat. Weather deteriorating from the west. Squall line building on horizon. Dark clouds advancing, visibility already reducing in patches. Storm system arriving within 6 hours. Seas building. Damaged ships facing additional threat from nature regardless of tactical decisions. International shipping avoiding engagement zone. Commercial vessels rerouting hundreds of miles around Philippine Sea. Insurance rates spiking. Economic disruption rippling across regional supply chains. Warships circling each other while merchant traffic flees. Additional U.S. destroyers ordered toward theater. 3 Arleigh Burkes from Japan, 2 from Guam, mobilization expanding beyond immediate engagement. But reinforcements 8 hours away minimum, help eventually, not immediately. China mobilizes additional assets. Submarine departures detected from multiple bases, aircraft launching from coastal airfields. Regional conflict potential growing with each asset committed. 2 Chinese destroyers shadowing damaged American formation while Philippine Sea grows crowded with warships testing whether peacetime operations remain peaceful when hulls collide at 20 knots.